Peace and love, everybody. This is Young Nas from iGotOptions LLC, and in this video, I want to talk about what EPS is, which is short for earnings per share. Right now, what is this? Now, this is simply a metric that is used to evaluate a company on the stock market. So let me get into more depth about what this metric is. So how do you calculate it, right? So earnings per share, EPS, is calculated by taking the net income or net profit of a company and dividing it by its outstanding shares. Now, outstanding shares is a fancy word for all the shares that are being held by shareholders, all right? So basically, it's a fancy word for all the shares that are currently being held, all right? So you take the net income, divide it by the outstanding number of shares, and you have earnings per share. Now, this number is going to typically be very small depending on what company you're dealing with, but they're going to be very small. They usually range from a couple of cents to about $4 or $5. All right, now that's the typical range. Now, the reason this is important is because it's a way of comparing the earnings or the profit of a company to however many shares they have. So for it to make a little bit more sense, think of it like measuring how fast a car is going, right? You have miles per hour. Now with this, you have earnings per share. So investors are just taking a look at, oh, this is how much profit this company is making per share that it has, so to speak. Now the idea is for most companies or all companies, they want their earnings per share to always increase, right? They don't want it to decrease because that means it's slowing down, right? They're starting to lose some of that profit. Same thing with a car. If its mileage per hour starts to decrease, then that means it's slowing down, right? It's not going as fast, all right? So when you compare those two aspects, earnings per share makes a little bit more sense. Now, this isn't the golden way or the only way to evaluate a company. It's just one way. There's countless ways to evaluate a company on the stock market. This is just one way that's very popular. All right, so just take the net income of a company, divide it by its outstanding shares, and you get earnings per share. All right, so that's why every time a company will report their earnings, you'll see something that says EPS increased by 11% or down 4%. It's because it's comparing the company's profit by their number of shares. All right, so with that being said, this is really the general concept of what EPS or earnings per share is, right? It's just a metric to evaluate a company at the end of the day. All right, peace.